Today we're going to talk about Workbook 4A, Exercise 11. In the textbook, this is page 28 through 30. And we're doing more on multiplication and division. In the textbook, if you look at pages 28 and 29, it starts with a word problem. We're told that Sean has 1,135 U.S. stamps, and he has 3 times as many foreign stamps as U.S. stamps. When I read that and think about it and draw a picture, I know for sure that the foreign stamps are larger than the U.S. stamps because there are 3 times as many foreign stamps as U.S. stamps. The first part of the question wants us to find the answer to how many stamps are there altogether. If each block represents 1,135 stamps, and there are a total of 4 blocks, then what I need to find is 4 times 1,135. Now remember from back in primary 3, there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could certainly say this is 4 times 1,000, which is 4,000, 4 times 100, which is 400, 4 times 3 tens, which is 12 tens, and 4 times 5 ones, which is 20. When we multiply that, it's 4,000. We have 5 hundreds and 4 tens. Now, for small numbers that you can keep in your mind, that's fine. And this is really an okay number to do horizontal multiplication with. But most of what we do is getting into larger numbers with more information to keep up with. So we're going to transition into doing the vertical type more and more, where you start really with the ones and find that 4 times 5 is 20, so that's 0 ones, but you have 2 tens. And we have 4 times 3 tens is 12 tens, but 2 more makes 14 tens, so that's 4 tens and an extra 100. 4 times 100 is 400, 1 more 100 makes 5. 4 times 1,000 makes 4,000. So either way, of course, we have 4,540 for the total number of stamps. We read it, we drew it, we wrote the math sentence for it. Here's how that math sentence ends, and then we answer the question. Altogether, there are 4,540 stamps. Then the next question asks, if Sean puts his stamps equally into 5 packets, how many stamps are there in each packet? So we have a total of 4,540 stamps. Currently they're in 4 equal groups, but I want to put them in 5 equal groups. Again, we've talked before about ways to do that. We could look at 4,540 as being 4,500 and 40. And if I'm trying to divide it into 5 groups, 4,500 divided by 5 is 900. And 40 divided by 5 is 8, so that answer would be 908. But again, the more complicated you get, the more it is possible that the best way to do the problem is to do long division. So we need to know how to do that as well. Remember, it's a process of asking yourself a series of questions and then repeating it until you're finished. How many times does 5 go into 45? And that answer is 9. As many as 9 times. No more than that. As many as 9. 9 times 5 is 45. So I write the 45 there and I subtract. 45 minus 45 is 0. I bring down a 4. How many times does 5 go into 4? Well, none. If I have 4, there are no 5s in that. 0 times 5 is 0. When I subtract, I have 4. I bring down the 0. How many times does 5 go into 40? That's 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. When I subtract, I get 0. So it goes in 908 times evenly. The question is, how many stamps are in each packet? There are 908 stamps in each one. And that's how I divide it equally into 5 groups. So we read it, we draw some sort of a picture, write a math sentence, answer the question. Every time you do a word problem, it'll be a process of those steps. Go ahead and look at page 30. There's practice on multiplication. Again, we can do it horizontally and talk about 3,726 times 5 by each of the digits, but there would be so much combinations to make of hundreds and tens and things like that, that it's really easier when you have larger numbers to just multiply it as it is. So again, for the steps, 5 times 6 is 30. The better you are, the stronger you are at your multiplication facts, the faster this will be. So continue practicing whichever ones stump you. 5 times 2 is 10, and we have 3 more tens, so that's 13 tens. 5 times 7 is 3,500. 1 more makes 3,600. 5 times 3 is 15,000. 3 more makes 18,000. So that's the answer, 18,630. 2,950, all of these are being done the same way. When you see a multiplication problem, you simply multiply 6 times 0, 6 times 5, and just keep in mind you're multiplying by tens, you're multiplying the hundreds, you're multiplying the thousands. 9 times 6 is 54, it's 5,400, and 3 is 5,700, that's 5,700. 6 times 2 is 12, this is thousands, and 5 more is 17 thousands, so altogether I have 17,700. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 4 is 32. Add 4 for 36. 16 add 3 is 19. 24 add 1 is 25. 25,960. So you just need to be practicing to be able to do enough of those. Then we add another skill, because multiplying by these large numbers, it's nice to have an estimate of what it's going to be. So the question here is to estimate the value of 6,218 times 4. Now, we could think of that very simply as somewhere between 6,200 times 4. It'll be bigger than that because there's more than 6,200 fours. There are fewer than 6,300 fours. And if I multiply that, and you know what, actually, they even go further. When you estimate, sometimes it's interesting to think, well, how do I know how big or how small to go? 6,200 is smaller than 6,218, and 6,300 is larger, but actually, on this problem, they went even easier in the estimation, and they said 6,218 is between 6,000 and 7,000. It's closer to 6,000. You know that if you have 6,000 times 4, it's 24,000. If you have 7,000 times 4, it's 28,000. Those are easy to do. And if we want to estimate that, we say, well, it's closer. 6,218 is closer to 6,000, so it's about 24,000. That's how they estimate those. So let's do some more practice on estimation. We want to estimate and then multiply, and unless they tell you how close to estimate it, it's hard to know. But the example that they gave goes straight to the nearest thousand. So we're going to make it really easy. 4,076 is about 4,000. 4,000 times 5 is 20,000. 4,317 is closer to 4,000 than it is to 5,000. 4,000 times 8 is 32,000. So that's about 32,000. 2,050 is about 2,000. 2,000 times 9 is 18,000. So that's an estimation for that answer. It doesn't matter which number's first. 7 times 6,931. You can see that 6,931 is closer to 7,000. 7 times 7,000 is 49,000. Again, you see how much faster it is if you know the multiplication. 7 times 7 is 49, so 7 times 7,000 is 49,000. 9 times 2,000 is 18,000. These are very quick if you go to the nearest thousand. 3,840 is closer to 4,000 than it is to 3,000. So 6 times 4,000 is 24,000. And that's all they want us to do when they ask you to estimate the value of a multiplication problem. All right, so now you're going to work on exercise 11.